Hi guys, I hope you are well. Welcome to another lesson as we progress further on with this course. I apologise if you're up to date live with this course. It's been a little bit of a while to get the rest of these lessons going, but hopefully now we're going to make good progress moving forward. So today in this lesson, I'm going to take things a little bit further and I'm going to talk to you about something called SMT, which essentially, if you've heard of divergence and things like that before, it is pretty much that, okay? But essentially, what is SMT? So SMT stands for Smart Money Tool. Okay, it is a tool used for a trader to assess the strength between correlated classes or pairs, whatever you want to call it. This can help you with confirmation of a liquidity run. And it's very important and worth mentioning that this should only ever be used as a confluence tool only. So you shouldn't be using this directly for your buys or sells. This should be used as an extra piece of confluence with the puzzle. So I've moved over to a chart here, and what I want to do is just draw you out a couple of diagrams. Now, first things first, I'm just going to draw or put this line right here. So essentially I'm going to draw something here and I'm going to draw something here as well. But let's just say you've got two different pairs, and we're going to talk about which pairs correlate to what I like to trade. But let's just say we've got one pair which is making a trend in the downward direction, and we've got another pair which is correlated towards the same pair which is making the exact same move. So this here is just going to be pair 1, and this here is going to be pair 2. Now, what I want you to consider is what both pairs are doing. So again, I'll talk to you about specific pairs that we're going to correlate later on in this video, but we can see both pairs are traveling lower. So what I can see is that we have taken this sell side liquidity right here, and over on this side as well, we've done exactly the same thing. So what we have got is correlated pairs that are moving in the same direction. So in this instance, if this situation is happening, we are not witnessing SMT. Okay, we are not witnessing SMT because price is moving in tandem with each other. So no SMT is actually valid here. So what would be expected is price will just carry on moving to the downside, and there's nothing for us to suggest that anything's going to be changing with the way we're working here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to delete this one and start again. Now let's just say we've got the same pair here, pair 1, which is moving lower. It's taken out that sell side liquidity right there, and I'm just going to draw another situation right here. Let's just say something like this has happened. Now, what you'll notice is that liquidity was not taken. So what we have here in this instance is that basically there is a crack in correlation. So there is a crack in correlation, which means SMT is now valid. So we can use this tool to identify that SMT is now valid because pair 1 has taken liquidity right here. We have got pair 2 which is unwilling to take this liquidity here. But the real question is, what does all of this actually mean? So what it means obviously is that price is now unwilling to go lower. So let me just write a couple of these down. So pair 2 is unwilling to go lower. Okay, so that means here this is a sign of institutional, oh my god, how do I spell this? Institutional accumulation. So if we are expecting bullish moves right here, okay, we can this is a very, very good sign of institutional accumulation. Okay, because pair 1 is going lower. And what is it doing? What is it actually doing here? It's going lower and it's taking a run on stops. It's taking out liquidity. So it's going lower to take out sell side liquidity, which when we look over at pair 2 has a higher relative strength than pair 1 basically. But as we use our correlated pairs which we should be pairing up with each other, we can use other pairs against each other to basically try and find a much better entry. So essentially pair 2 has a higher relative strength than pair 1. So we can be expecting price to move to the upside, and the real question is whether we're going to take accumulation in here to go higher, or whether we're going to take accumulation in here to go higher. It all depends on what is actually going on to the left of our charts at this point. So for example, if we are on this side here and we can notice here that we've got an order block, a fair value gap, some kind of breaker block or something like that, and just the same on here, if we have this situation here where we've got an order block, a breaker block, a fair value gap, or anything in there, then we can use this as a solid piece of confirmation. And actually we don't need pair 2 to sweep below the liquidity, because we talk about liquidity so much and how it's very important to get the liquidity sweep. But essentially what we've now got is that with our correlated pairs, we've got that here on pair 1. Pair 1 has made the run on liquidity right here, which means pair 2 doesn't really need to, especially if there is some kind of extra order block or something like that in there, which essentially means we can take price to the upside. And if you refer to the earlier parts of the course, I think module 3, where I spoke about different types of accumulation, you've got type 1 accumulation, which is essentially when you get a liquidity run, you get price moving higher, and you get type 2 accumulation, which is where essentially you're getting price in this situation here just moving higher without breaking the liquidity. So it's kind of breaking structure to the upside, but without taking liquidity here. Well, type 2 accumulation is very, very strong if the pair that you're correlating price with has made the liquidity run. And obviously I've not told you that until now, but that's all with a very good amount of purpose. I want you to learn everything you need to learn in a certain order. And as you've progressed so far into this course, you've got this far in the course, as long as you've obviously been watching the video by video by video, instead of just rushing onto these videos and things like that, you will see here why now type 2 accumulation is really nothing to fear. So guys, just for the purpose of this video here, all I'm going to do, this is obviously in a bullish situation. Okay, so this is obviously if we're looking for price to actually move higher. So let's say you've done your bias on the time frames, you are hoping for price to move higher. This is a bullish situation. Now I'm just going to flip this here. Where is it? Invert this here. And now I'm going to be showing you the same situation, but in a bearish situation. Okay, so we're now moving into a bearish situation. So as you can see, price is moving to the upside in this situation here. We've taken this liquidity and we've started to distribute. So this here is actually institutional distribution. Okay, so in this situation, pair 2, as you can see, is unwilling to go lower, but in this case it should say higher now. Okay, it's unwilling to go higher to take out that liquidity there. Now we're taking, I need to change these words around, buy side instead of sell side and things like that. Pair 1 is taking out buy side liquidity, and pair 2 has a higher relative strength than pair 1. Now we're going to talk about which pair is the stronger to take in these situations, but essentially for now just focus on what we're kind of looking at here in these instances. Okay, we've taken out buy side liquidity, we've failed to do it on pair 2, which means there's a crack in correlation, which means we've got smart money tool SMT valid. Okay, and if they're both doing it, if they're both doing the same thing here, and we're hoping for price to move higher, or we're hoping for price to move lower, then in this situation here where we've taken out both sides, it is not currently valid, because you're seeing that price is just making a low and then a high, a low and then a high and then another low, and then it's going to probably just make another high. So really, really useful information here, guys, which we're seeing. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about now is the actual correlated pairs. So let me just remove all of this. Now it's worth bearing in mind, guys, before I delete all this stuff here, you can screenshot this. This is available to you. In fact, let me just download that, and let me just come back on everything. And then essentially what I'm going to do, there we go. So I'm going to download that, and these are going to be available for you in the course. So I'm going to literally put these in for a bit of extra material. Now, let me just get rid of these. What I want to do now is really tell you the correlated pairs that we want to focus on. So correlated pairs. Now, when you're thinking Forex, okay, so let's do Forex. I'm not going to do crypto, if I'm being honest. I don't trade crypto. Okay, I've dabbled with crypto and things like that, and I've heard from people in the course and the community that do trade crypto saying it works very well. That's great, but I'm not going to include crypto in this lesson. I'm just going to do Forex, and I'm going to include the index. Okay, so hopefully you would have guessed these pairs, but just for the point of clarification, it is the DXY versus euro, or the pound, or euro and the pound. Okay, so they're the ones I want to try and focus on at this moment in time. So pair 1 would be the DXY, pair 2 would be euro or pound. So with index, okay, what we're going to be focusing on is S&P versus NAS versus US 30. So these here are the correlated pairs which we're going to essentially focus on. And what I'm going to do is just draw out a couple of scenarios which is going to help you understand which is the higher probable setup. So where I previously drew one line right here, I'm going to move this line across, and I'm going to bring another line in here. So now what I'm going to be drawing is the DXY right here. I'm going to change the color of this, just make it black or something like that, just to change it up a little bit. I'm going to draw euro in here, and I'm going to draw pound in here. So what we need to be focusing on here, and I'm going to do this in this direction here. So let's say price is moving higher, okay, and the DXY has taken this liquidity right here. So all I want you to focus on right now is what the DXY is currently doing. Okay, now let me draw euro, because we know that these pairs correlate. Now euro and the DXY are going to move in an opposite direction. Okay, so euro is now moving lower, just like this, and what we can identify is right here we've taken out this liquidity right here. Now we've drawn, I'm going to draw pound and a situation on pound. So now what we can notice is that we are showing movement in here. We are unwilling to take out this liquidity right here. So as you can see, what we are doing right here, the DXY is moving higher. Okay, the DXY is doing something like that. Now euro is moving lower, but the pound is refusing to go lower right here. So what we're looking to do in this situation is understand really first of all the purpose of the DXY and what we're looking to get out of the DXY, and making a decision on whether or not we're going to take a setup in here or a setup in here. Now the truth be told, okay, we can take a setup in both if the DXY is correlating correctly with euro and the pound. But what we can notice here is that we are moving to the upside in this situation here. Let's assume we are overall bearish, or we're hoping for price to go lower on the DXY, and what we've done is that we've come into a fair value gap or something like that, and we're hoping that the DXY is essentially going to move lower in any case, just like that. Now we can see here with euro that euro is bearish along with what the DXY is bullish, but we've taken out that sell side liquidity and we are hoping price is going to move to the upside. And exactly the same situation on pound, except we have not taken out the liquidity. So checkpoint number one is that we are getting signs of accumulation, the fact that we have taken this liquidity right here and we are looking to move to the upside here. Now let's assume we have our confirmation that we have distributed in here, we're accumulating in here, we're accumulating in here. Now if that's the situation, great. It doesn't really matter which one we take, but which one is the stronger. So let's say there's a fair value gap in here, let's say there's an order block of some sort in here. The big question is, which one is the stronger buy going to? So in the situation here that we find ourselves in, okay, we have got an unwillingness to go lower. We've gone lower here. As much as I've said previously, they're all strong buys in their own right, because we're getting that movement here. We have got a crack in correlation, which means SMT is valid, which would mean here that the pound is a stronger buy than euro in this situation, because we are showing ourselves in that institutional accumulation to the upside. And again, I'll just flip it for purposes here. Let me just download that. Okay, now let me flick this over. And this here would be a stronger sell than euro if the same thing was happening but in a bearish bias and the DXY was doing its thing. The DXY is coming to its discount level. The pound is a stronger sell at this point right here. Okay, so what I've done, I've just taken away the Forex pairs. I've taken away this pair here completely, and I've just kept these two alive here. What I'm going to draw now is just another line chart where price is doing this. And what we've got is liquidity also being taken in this situation here. Now, we're going to move over to the index. Okay, we're going to move over to index. And basically, this one here is going to be S&P. This one here is going to be NAS. This one here going to be US 30. So we're going to ask ourselves the same questions. Okay, we're going to ask ourselves the same questions. Now, what you'll notice in this situation is the S&P is moving lower. We have taken out the sell side liquidity right here. Price is looking to move higher. We've got same thing on NAS. We've got price moving lower in this situation here. It's taken out that liquidity. And US 30 is not behaving the same way. I'm using US 30 as a good example because this is typically the way it always goes. And US 30 does like to do its own thing. Now, I've said it likes to do its own thing in the past. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of the time it's performing SMT divergence. So with the indices, it's very important that they all correlate to try and go in the same direction. Let's assume we have got a bullish bias overall and we have all hit ourselves into these points of interest. So fair value gap, order blocks, that kind of thing, as previously with Forex. What I am looking to try and achieve now is identifying which is going to be the stronger buy. Now, we've taken liquidity here, we've taken liquidity here, we have not taken liquidity here, which means there is a higher relative strength in US 30 compared to NAS and S&P. Therefore, there is a crack in correlation. SMT is valid and US 30 is stronger than NAS and S&P. Okay, very interesting if you didn't think this or if you didn't have this before, but this is the facts of what it is. So if you're getting accumulation in here, you're getting it in a much stronger point. You don't need to rely on liquidity sweep in this very instance right here, because you've got it in these two pairs right here. So US 30 is stronger than NAS and S&P, and we can be expecting buys on all of them, by the way. You can definitely take buys, but what it is a really good way to try and identify certain points of where you can be looking to for the most attractive buy. essentially. So if you get accumulation in here, in here, and in here, you can look at what looks the best, what has the best point of entry, but this overall is going to be a stronger buy. So if you get something in here with a fair value gap entry and a lower time frame, that's the one you want to be looking to take an entry on. Okay, so this essentially is what it is. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move over to the live chart and just kind of show you, because I've noticed it's happening in real time. So just bear with me 1 second here, guys. Okay, so I've moved over to the charts. Now I'm on a weekly time frame right here. Now all I'm doing, I'm looking at what the weekly is going to be projecting. Now what I can notice here is that we've taken out liquidity on NAS. We've taken out that low and we have accumulated. When I look at S&P, I can notice the exact same thing. Liquidity has been taken right here. When I flick over to US 30, what we can notice is that we are working inside this area right here. Okay, so what I have done here, guys, I've just changed the chart layout. I've got S&P weekly chart up here, I've got NAS up here, and I've got US 30 up here. So what this does, it allows me to view everything a little bit easier, because here you can see here clearly what we have got is that we've taken that liquidity there, we've taken liquidity here on this pair here, and on US 30 we have not done that. So I'm expecting price to move higher on all of them because I'm pretty bullish on all of them, but this is the stronger one. So this week it tells me to be looking for buys inside here, and this is SMT valid. This is showing us that price should react to the upside in a valid point of interest, and we've got higher relative strength in here compared to against these two indices right here. So guys, that essentially is SMT. We're going to cover it a lot more as the course progresses. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to use it in terminology a lot more. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Hopefully it was insightful, and I will see you guys on the next one.